Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Matthew, how are you, my
Good,
friend?
man. How are you? Good to see you, bud.
Too. So today we're talking about this big one. So we all know about the Joe Biden autopen scandal. Who controlled it? Who ran it? Right? We obviously now know Joe Biden controlled nothing, not even the fake Joe Biden. But yesterday I was watching the House Oversight Committee hearings into the Joe Biden scandal, the autopen scandal. Trump, even with the stuff going on with Iran, right now he's at the NATO meetings. He's nonstop talking about the autopen scandal. And as of this morning, breaking, ex-Biden aide, and I watched the hearing yesterday, but Gateway Pundit finally reported it, that Neera Tanden admitted under oath that she controlled the autopen. Now, she's trying to twist it to like she only controlled it when Joe Biden was not there for simple stuff, because the auto pen is only used if the president sends out 1,000 letters to a bunch of supporters. That's where the auto pen comes into play. But they were able to prove during the hearing that Joe Biden was at the White House and the auto pen was used for pardons and legislation, which is not allowed to happen. So she, while Joe Biden was there, used it, but she lied. She only used it when he wasn't there for letters, caught in a lie. And earlier today, this broke. I was reading this right before coming here. So they're subpoenaing all these people, saying come in, answer questions under oath. 9 Biden officials, former Biden officials, try to use executive privilege. And before they would get away with it. Before it'd be like, oh man, there's nothing we can do. But remember what they did to Steve Bannon when Steve Bannon tried to use executive privilege over January 6th.
Prison time.
They threw him in prison for 4 months. That's never been done before.
Peter Navarro, right?
Yep, same with Peter Navarro. So for the first time in American history, Trump's administration and his former staff between 2021 and 2024 went to prison for using executive privilege. Now the Biden staff are trying to use executive privilege, and they said it's not going to work. If you try to pull this, we're going to do to you what you guys did to Steve Bannon. We're going to throw your ass in jail. Where do you think this goes, Matt?
I think they're going to have to cover it up at all costs. I mean, they're going to force Trump to push their hand and put them in prison if they have to, right? Because then the media will spin it, right? People will forget about Biden. Everybody has short-term memory anyway. People forget about Bannon. People forget about Peter Navarro. And they'll just make it seem like, oh, Trump's a dictator. He's putting his political enemies in jail. And people, the average liberal is going to sit there and not remember Steve Bannon being put in jail. It's like, it's people like us and your audience that remember this stuff. But I think what it speaks to, the bigger issue here, and this is something I laugh about with you on a regular basis. What if everything's auto pen? What did Trump retruth a couple weeks ago? Trump retruthed somebody saying that Joe Biden was executed in 2020 by the U.S. military for treason. So either Trump's a major conspiracy theorist or he's a truth teller. I'm banking on the fact that he's telling the truth. And like you pointed out, the fake Joe Biden, that was not Joe Biden. That was an actor. Right? The real Joe Biden, folks, is dead. He was executed for treason by the United States military in 2020. MAGA.
No, I watch everything. I watch everything. I'm a realist. When they come out and tell us, folks, that this is what we've been doing, be like, all right, but as of right, I watch and listen to everything. But I'm a realist. When they come out, like when Trump came out and said, Allah Samadari is dead. He died like a dog. All right, then. But up until then, there were rumors for the last 10 years that our military killed him.
Killed who?
Al-Samadari, the terrorist from Iran.
Al-Baghdadi.
No. Yes. There were rumors that he was killed there. Then he was killed there. It started with the Obama administration.
Well, Joe Biden, throughout his entire career, has been involved with China. He's been committing acts of treason his entire career. So it would make sense that he would be executed for treason, and rightfully so. I mean, he's committed treason. He's a traitor to the United States. And I mean, one of the ancient Roman, if you killed somebody in ancient Rome, you murdered somebody, what they would do is they would actually chain you to the corpse.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So effectively, that's what Trump's doing to these people, is he's chaining the Democrat Party to the corpse of Joe Biden. And it's an ancient torture tactic. It's just being modernized today for that reason. So to me, it's very fun to talk about Joe Biden being executed, because in my personal opinion, that was not Joe. I mean, does anybody really think that was Joe Biden? You saw the mask falling off here and over here, all the green screen errors.
Of course, we had Joe Biden when he would come out, and this dude was sharp. And then we had this guy come out confused, looking everywhere. You could tell this dude's got dementia. Exactly what Tucker Carlson said it was summer of 2019. Joe Biden's brother-in-law or someone really close to him called him and said, dude, he's got dementia. His wife's covering it up. Tell the world not to vote for him. Our whole family is like, what are you doing? And so, yeah, we had a fake guy. And then we, like, on the debate stage, Trump's won the election at the debate stage, because everyone's like, dude, so why did they throw out that guy? I don't know. But going back to the moral of the story, right? We now know that the Chinese Communist Party printed all these ballots. Why is Trump really angry with Canada? Because they allowed the ballots to go through. They used the Canadian border, and I reported on this like 3 or 4 days ago. Kash Patel is uncovering what they did. It's stuff that we always knew. Now we finally have corroborating evidence. This is where every single conspiracy theory needs to come down to. Like, we were called conspiracy theorists, and we were, but we waited, we looked. The corroborating evidence came 3 years later. Boom, it's here. There's evidence, there's corroborated evidence from the government. It's not, and Trump truths about it before. He's like, man, China helped them like between 2023. We've now got the evidence. This is why Trump does not like Canada, because they allowed the 2020 election. They allowed the ballots to come in. It was the Chinese Communist Party who, screw them. They should go out of business totally.
They will. But
back to the autopen. How many people controlled the autopen? I remember when it was Speaker Mike Johnson sitting with Joe Biden and says, dude, you passed this legislation to stop fracking. And he's like, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
He's like, sir, here's your signature.
That. Yeah.
He's like, and he looks at me. He's like, and he just looks so confused. And even Mike Johnson said, at that moment, I felt so sorry for him. He's like, somebody's using this old man for their own political agenda, and they don't care that this dude. And
so
plus,
Obama's using.
They knew.
That's who it is.
They knew he had cancer. But it's very interesting to see how now they're trying to use executive privilege. Now they're trying to go back to the way the rules and stuff was. And this goes back to, what are they willing to do to make sure the truth never comes out?
They're going to do anything. They're going to do anything, whatever it takes. Every single person that we're talking about is guilty of the highest level of treason imaginable.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the punishment for treason? It's death.
Mm-hmm.
It's death by firing squad. So, I mean, it's going to be tough for the public. It would be too tough for the public to stomach executions of, let's say, Barack Obama, right? But when the real information about somebody like Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton comes out, and you understand, I mean, we won't get into it on this podcast, but when you understand what these people have really been doing and really have been up to, I mean, it's going to be a great day for America when those people are executed for treason. It's going to be glorious.
It is. And again, and this is where I say, corroborating evidence needs to, because on one side I hear
fair trial, all that.
Yeah, no, yes. I'm saying on one side I hear, they're gonna be able to crash the banks, and they're gonna be able to crash the crypto and all this stuff, do all this damage. But then on one side I hear these guys are all under control, have everything controlled, and they can't do anything without these guys. It's Here's what I think they're going to do. Do they still have control of banking system? Yeah, they do. Do they still control the Fed? Yeah, they do. Look at what's happened. Trump right now and Powell or whatever his name is, they're going back and forth because the whole world has brought down their interest rates,
and Powell,
except us.
Powell doesn't want to.
He doesn't want to. He says, what if inflation goes back up?
Yeah, we haven't seen any inflation under Trump.
That's right.
Right. So the idea of inflation is that, yeah, if you start getting inflation, the idea is to raise your interest rate higher than the rate of inflation, and that curbs the inflation.
But inflation's
inflation's, if anything, inflation's gone down.
Yep.
And this would be a great opportunity for Powell. The reason why Powell doesn't want to lower rates is because it would really enhance Trump's economy. It'd make everything look great. It'd create a lot of home purchasing, a lot of car purchasing, right?
Yep.
A lot of, stuff on credit. It would really get the economy running. And Powell doesn't want to do it. Why? For political
just
reasons.
To hurt Trump. In 2021, when they thought Trump was gone forever, he did an interview with MSNBC, and he said, he admitted. Do you remember in 2017 and 2018 how long it took him to bring down the interest rates?
Yeah.
And he said, I held interest rates as high as possible for as long as possible just to hurt the Trump economy.
Yeah.
And these mofos who make tens of millions a year to sit on their ass start laughing. Oh, MSNBC, they were giggling. Like, dude, you admitted you hurt the American people.
It tells the story of who these people are. These people should be executed for the highest levels of treason, crimes against humanity. These people belong in a grave. The world would be a better place when these people are dead. I hate to say it, but it's true.
It's true, but we learned one thing. You take out one bad guy to replace him. Man, they need Jesus. They need to get on their knees. They need to repent, and they need to come out and expose. The best way, the truth will set you free. Don't get caught. Come out and tell it. Then you'll get some mercy. Like Steve Bannon says, if you come out and you admit what happened in the Biden administration, who ran what, you'll get a great deal. We'll make you a deal. You'll get some mercy. But if you don't, and you go down with the ship, you are gonna get the hammer.
Yeah, there's good information and there's bad information. Good information is come out now, come clean, tell us the truth. Bad information is, yeah, don't say anything. Let them start going after these people, waste resources, waste time, right? Only to find the same information. Yeah, you're going to go down with everybody else, as you should.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see some nice deal. I'd rather them withhold whatever information, because you know what? These people need to be wiped off the face of this planet. I'm so sick of these people. We don't want to lower interest rate. You know what lowering interest rates would do? It would make some, young couple that just had a baby and enable them to go buy a house. You know what I mean? It would have such a positive impact on Americans' lives, but they're not doing it because they want to protect their political agendas. These pieces of shit. These are pieces of shit. Pardon my language.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, no, that's exactly what they're doing. And because it goes back to, look, with the whole Iran thing, everyone was screaming, right? We're in war. I mean, did we declare war? No one declared war. Did Trump go in and take care of some business and my friends were on the ground? Yeah, we took care of business. No one's got to know how far our troops went in.
And isn't it interesting that no one was killed in the strikes? Why? Because this is what I told you the whole time. Trump already had a deal with Iran before this. Okay, this is not about Iran. This is about Israel. It's about Iran and their nuclear facilities. And thank God he got rid of those.
What do you mean no one died?
No one died in the what, people died?
Of course. Iran is saying thousands.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Dude, I have my cousin lives in Tel Aviv. Israelis, children's hospital was hit. Dude,
yeah, but
bad.
I'm not talking about Israel. I'm talking about the Iranian strikes on, or the U.S. strikes on the Iranian nuclear facilities. No one really died in those.
When Israel, the first 7 days was hitting, they weren't just hitting the nuclear sites. They were hitting military bases within cities.
Specifically about Trump's B-2 strikes on the 3 nuclear facilities. No one died in those.
Oh, I don't know.
There was no deaths in those. There was deaths from other strikes, yes. But this is all, I think the real enemy here is actually Israel. Because what Trump did is he got the ceasefire going. Well, he bombed the 3 nuclear sites, took out their whole nuclear program in about an hour. And now Israel, they want to keep bombing Iran. Why? Because they want war. They want to bang the war drums. So really, this is now Trump can sit there and be like, hey, Israel, we took out their nuclear facilities. Why are you guys still bombing? Why are you guys still going, right? Why are you still doing all this stuff? Because Israel's controlled by the Mossad. It's the ultimate of ultimate deep states.
Yeah.
Right. And they're the one, that's what we talked about. Omar al-Baghdadi, the head of ISIS. He was Israeli. He was a Mossad agent. Right. And it's not about the Israeli people. The Israeli people are great. It's just no one really understands.
They're all Russian.
Exactly.
They're all Russians and Ukrainians.
Yeah. But the whole idea is that I think they're saving Israel for last. And something's got to be done about Israel because they're the ones that are behind a lot of these. They start a lot of these wars, and it's not our job to fight them. You know, let them fight them.
But I don't like Iran either. They sit there, they burn American flags. I'm not saying I like Iran. And they burn American flags.
I'm not.
Death. We're the great white devil.
I know. I'm not saying I like Iran. What I'm telling you, I like the Iranian people. As a matter of fact, I grew up around a lot of Iranian people, and there's not one I didn't like. But it's not about the people; it's about the governments, and there's got to be a shakeup in these corrupt, murderous governments.
Yeah, I think this. What's that saying? I hear it in Russian, but I keep pretty much let's clean up our own house real quick. I think we should be isolationists.
100%.
3-4 years, 10, maybe a decade, 5 decades.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
And then take care of everyone, because right now we got
all
these so much garbage at home. I guarantee you, when you clean up, like, and this comes from personal life. When I clean up my own life, everybody's life's even kind of get better.
Yeah.
You affect me less. Everything's in order. I don't need you as much, or that's it. We just shake hands.
Get your own house in order.
That's right. But ladies and gentlemen, that being said, gold, silver, platinum. Tell them about platinum.
It's gone up quite a bit since we talked about it. It's up like a couple $100. Still a great opportunity. They do make U.S. American Eagles, platinum American Eagles. We sell a lot of those. But yeah, get your precious metals. We don't know what the heck's going to be happening in the banks. It's nothing to panic about, but I think there's going to be a big shakeup in the banking system. We always, talk about it here, not to, put everybody to sleep, but I think it's a great store of value, and it'll get you to the new system.
Subscribe. Boom.